In your world, is the truth measured by the weight of your gold? In the 5th edition Player's Handbook, on page 143, it says that there are 50 coins to the pound. This actually caused some interesting questions that I had. There was a question on one of the Facebook forums about in Dungeons and Dragons about this, and I said that didn't quite make sense. And I originally started playing with original Dungeons and Dragons, which had 10 coins to the pound, and so I started wondering about this. And there were some things that bothered me with the numbers. So, being the type of person I am, I decided to just look at some of the numbers. And I'll put a bunch of links down in there. And what this brought to two things that brought this to mind was Loreena McKennitt's has a song called Marrakesh Night Market. And one of the lines in the song is, the truth is measured by the weight of your gold. So how much do your coins weigh? How many coins do you have per pound, and so on? And this also makes me think of the line in Kipling's poem, The Gods of the Copybook Headings. And I'm terrible at this, but I'll try it. It's just one of the paragraphs. In the Carboniferous epoch, we were promised abundance for all, by robbing selected Peter to pay for collective Paul. But though we had plenty of money, there was nothing our money could buy, and the gods of the copybook headings said, if you don't work, you die. So I was thinking about, what is a coin like? What are the coins in the thing? And then there's the phrase that they're about the size of a quarter, but there are 50 of them to the pound. This causes some issues. So I started looking up coin densities, sizes of US coins, and looking up at the density. And I said, I always had picture in my mind a coin which was fairly large. And the reason I thought of that is that it's just, I always thought of a nice size hefty coin that you could hold. That would be a gold coin. And that goes back to the concept of the Spanish dollar, or the pieces of 8, which actually became the idea of the original US silver dollar. That was interesting to learn. I didn't know that. And I always pictured gold coins as like the US double eagle. And the US double eagle is 34 millimeters in diameter, which is a $20 gold coin. And I worked that out, but you only get 12, maybe 13. You get 12.8 double eagles to the pound. So there's something wrong with that you can't. That actually fits back with the original idea in original Dungeons and Dragons in first and second, and I think it was changed in third, where you had 10 gold coins to the pound, because then you get a nice hefty coin. But where you look at what's happening with 5th edition is that they says, no, you have 50. So that means that if you work it out, and I'll put the spreadsheet that I did up there, that a gold piece, if you take 50 coins to the pound, that means the gold piece has about 9 grams of gold. And if you calculate 9 grams of gold, if you look back at the density of gold, that gives about 470 cubic millimeters of gold. And if you say we want to make it 1.5 millimeters thick, which makes it about as thick as somewhere between a dime, well, actually makes about the same thickness as a penny, US penny, then you come up with a surface area of 313 square millimeters, or a radius of 9.9 millimeters. Now, 9.9 millimeters and a penny, let's see, that's the radius, or a diameter of 19.9 millimeters. And the diameter of a penny in the US is 19 millimeters. So it's just 1 millimeter larger than a penny. Now, that actually fits well if you know anything about US coins. And I know a teeny little bit because of some things that personally happened to me. My sister has a $2.50 US gold, $2.50 gold piece. And this was my grandmother got this in change. Somebody thought it was a penny because it's the same size as a US penny. That's called a quarter eagle. It's and a US gold eagle is a $10 coin, and then they had a half eagle, which was a $5, and a quarter eagle, which was a $2.50 gold coin, and then you had the double eagle, which is a $20 gold coin. So it's the same size as a penny. And if you work that out, oh, well, then we have a dime, which is our silver. And that is about the size of a penny. Then you get a penny. So in essence, the gold coins that are described in the if you're going with really the dimensions of them, they're pennies. They're all the size of a penny. You have a copper penny. You have a copper coin is the size of a penny. A silver coin is your silver piece is the size of a dime, which is about the size of a penny. And then your gold piece is the size of a $2.50 gold or a quarter eagle, which is about the size of a penny. Now that's not what the picture I had in my mind of all of this, because I sort of worked through. I thought it would be that they would be much heftier, have a much nicer feel for them. So actually, that comes up with how much is if you did quarter sized, which was the so I did the calculations and did a quarter size. If you made them the size of a quarter, then you would actually get 20. No, let's see, if you work it out here, it says if you do a gold piece, which is a quarter size gold piece, you actually get 29 to the pound if you work out the math. Now, none of this is quite exactly right because you would never have a 100% pure gold piece because it would be too soft. You'd want to put at least some baser metals into it to make it a little bit harder. Normally they'd put some copper at least in there to make it a little bit harder to do that. But even with gold coins, that was the phrase that you would bite the gold coin to see if it was real, because if it's a gold coin and you bite it, you'll put teeth marks into it. So what happens is that what do you do with your gold coins? And it goes back to my feeling about gold coins, because some of my history, when I was a young boy, we went to Nevada. I grew up in Utah, and we'd go to Nevada and go out and do some gambling. And my dad was a bit of a gambler, and he actually did pretty well at the craps tables. And I remember that, and I remember we were on the way home. We'd spent a while in. We didn't go to Reno or Vegas. We went to Elko, which is the third largest city in Nevada, because I don't know why my family always used to go to Elko rather than to Wendover or Reno. Rather than Reno or Vegas, but we'd go to Elko. And we were on the way back, and we stop in some place and have lunch. And there was we get in change, a silver dollar change. And there's a silver dollar slot machine. And my dad rarely played slot machines. And my dad picked up the silver coin and said, "Watch this." And I remember that because he puts the silver coin in and gets bar, bar, bar. And we won a bunch of coins. And part of the stuff that I inherited, I have a stack of silver coins. So I know what a big handful of silver dollars feels like. And that was the picture I had in when I game. As I thought that was what they would be, was that they'd be like silver dollars or maybe even a little bit larger. And this was an important figure in one of the campaigns I ran into. I ran one of my dungeons, and I mentioned before, it was called Hellwell. It's based after Roger Zelazny's Lord of Light, if you've ever read that. And that has Hellwell and things about it there and why characters would want to go there is a different discussion. And it's very fatal dungeon. But in Hellwell, the coins you find are not the standard size. And they're a little bit larger. And they're a little bit thinner because they're the same mass as that. But they're a little bit larger, and they trigger detect magic will detect that they're slightly magical. They were minted in a magical furnace. And the reason that makes it important is because you can melt them, but it takes a bit higher temperature. And the reason that you'd want to melt the coins down is that in there, they've all got the faces of demons on them. And what happens is you get a stack of coins, silver or gold coins from that dungeon, and you come back out and you try and do anything with them, and none of the merchants will touch them. They think that they're evil. Well, they are, but anyway, so what you have to do is if you want to spend them, you have to find someone to melt them down and recast them as an ingot or whatever. And it's there. And the reason that you want to figure out how many coins to the pound is because if you find something in one of the more recent adventures that I was running in the world of Tiglath, they found a large altar that was of solid gold. And so they want to, being the greedy type of characters, they want to bring back as much gold as possible. And we have to figure out how much they're coming in with hammers and chisels, and they're trying to drag this out. And they get some bags of holding, and how much mass can you put into a bag of holding? And if you cut it up and drag it out, and then you want to melt it down, or you find just some gold figure. You find a statue of gold. And depends upon how large it is, you go, oh, it's a man-sized statue of solid gold. Well, I want to cut its arm off and take it with me because I want to melt it down and get the gold. Well, how much is it worth? So you really need to think about what your coins are worth and what that is. But if you want to think about, if you do want to use the 50 gold pieces to the pound, basically your coins are not the size of a quarter, they're the size of a penny. Actually, it means that your gold, silver, and copper coins are all approximately the same size. Actually, it would just be simpler to make them all the same size because they're going to only vary slightly in the millimeter dimensions. And they're down there, but that gives you a bag of gold coins. It's like a bag of pennies or a bag of dimes, if that would be your silver coins. So what happens is that you could imagine, I don't know if any of you've got a bag of quarter eagles. I'd love to see a bag of quarter eagles, but it's just for ha-has, because it would be a large, it'd be worth a lot today, because I did the calculations that a penny-sized gold piece is worth, using the rate today that I got, it's in the spreadsheet, it's from JM Bullion, which gives the price in grams. And so if you work it out, a 9-gram gold piece is worth $342 today. And a quarter-sized gold piece is worth $588. So it's, it gives you an idea of what they would be. That would be a 15-gram gold piece. So it was fun to work through this and to see what your values are. And that, but I always, you picture what's a coin? I don't picture a penny. I think that's that. And he says it also makes the question: do you want to actually say there are multiple sizes of gold coins? Because U.S. gold coins, you had the quarter eagle, the half eagle, and the double eagle, which was the 2.5, 5, 10, and $20 gold pieces. That historically was reasonable. That you had four coins of increasing value that were, so you could have a single coin. And the fun one you could have is that your characters go and find some gold coins, and they come in and try and sell them, and they pick them up, and what's it's the line in the from the New Testament where they bring they say should we pay taxes, and Jesus asks whose superscription is on that, whose superscription is on the coin, and it's that of Caesar. And he says, render under Caesar that which is Caesar, and render under God that which is God's. And so, but here's the question. If your characters go and bring back a gold coin, depends upon, no matter what size it is or whatever, gold coin, whose superscription is on it? And if you've worked out some ideas about how your politics in the world, you could do like the U.S. did, made it illegal to own gold coins for a period of time, which that wasn't, in my mind, a rather stupid political move, but they're anyway, they did that. And but the question is so your characters across some political boundary or ancient political boundary, and they've went into some crypt or tomb or dungeon, and they find a bunch of gold coins, and they come back and they want to celebrate in town, but it's using a gold coin that was minted long time ago, because normally these things have been, quote, laying around for a long time, and they try and sell them, and it's that coin is now illegal to possess. So you can take your characters and throw them in the jail because they have illegal gold coins. Just give you an idea, things you can do that were there, and you can you can do a whole bunch of things like that. I've played in campaigns where somebody did rather unusual money, and that's unless you're willing to do that. The one guy, I think it was 17. You had I think it was he picked some odd units, 17 and 12, so that you had some sort of copper coin, and 12 of the copper coins made a silver coin, and 17 of the silver coins made a gold coin. And so paying for anything, we did all that we got a little strange, and finally after a while he decided that was just too much work, and then changed all the gold coins retroactively or whatever. But it's easier to the advantage that we went to the sort of metric system in Dungeons and Dragons, where you have a copper piece, and the silver piece is worth 10 times what a copper piece is, and a gold piece is 10 times worth what a silver piece is. But actually, if you historically it says you go with a penny, and then a dime. From copper to silver is 10, but from a dime to a $2.50 gold piece, which is approximately the same size, is a little bit more. It's 25. Let's see, it's 25. If that's what I'm doing right, 25. Yeah, $2.50 gold piece times it's 20. So you get 25. The ratio from silver to gold was 25. And you get some interesting discussions about what's there rather than 10. So anyway, and you could always make everything it's your world. Do what you want. Make your quarter size gold piece, and say that there are still 50 of them to the pound, but like I said, that comes up with some interesting questions. You can do whatever you want in your world, but I was trying to see what it would mean if you actually did this, because this was sort of an interesting question. What does it weigh? What is the size of the coin of a coin? Because the player's handbook doesn't make sense. There's a fallacy with regard to matching it to the real world. You can't have 50 coins to the pound and make them a quarter size of a quarter, because that isn't going to work. They're going to be paper thin and just terrible. So what happens is that you have to, because you could actually work out the thickness, but I'll leave that to you. I'm going to put the spreadsheet up on Google Drive, and I hope it was interesting to learn a little bit about coins. I had a lot of fun doing this one. So it was just going through the difference in that, but figure out how many coins you want to the pound, because your characters probably will find something that they'll want to melt down eventually. I don't know, in your world, unless you do something a little bit different. But normally characters go, I want to melt it down. They steal something, they rob some tomb, they find something, and they have a hard time selling it, and so, well, we'll just melt it down, or we'll smash it and we'll break it all up and then sell the pieces by weight. That's always something that they could do. So I'll put the links and everything in there so you can do the calculations yourself. If you like my video, press the thumbs up button. I'd appreciate that. Or if this interests you, you can always subscribe to my channel. There's a button right above. I look forward to hearing some comments. Tell me what you think about this, and I'll try and reply, and we can see if I'll do some more of these. Thank you.